What's up, my friends? Good evening to you all. This is probably going to be a Carpo ramble, Carpo rant, so be warned. There's no specific pattern in mind here for this video other than just chaos of life. I guess that's the perfect definition for what's on my mind. I've been reading actually a book today. It was called Chaos, that Blaze Harmon sent it to me. Thanks, Blaze. I was just reading a few pages by chance and that came to mind, but really chaos and order in general. But as I decided, when I looked at my outfit, I thought, this is chaotic, this is perfect. This is a metaphor for how I feel in life. Like everything clashes with one another, and I love it. Actually, all these clothes have a story. This jacket, this is a golf jacket that my best friend's grandfather, I guess he had it tailor-made for him. He lived in Hawaii, he was a golfer, and he knew he'd never wear it after his grandfather passed on, so he gave it to me. And the shirt underneath it was my wife's father's, so my kid's grandfather, who passed away a few years back. And it's a 1970s Kmart shirt that has these really cool patterns on it. And then this handkerchief was actually bought at Symbiosis this last year with the eyes on it. So anyhow, just thinking about, oh, and the hat. I got this at a concert a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago, with my friend Tim. Tim, my homie, who bought me a ticket, decided to take me with him, and I thought that was cool. Because sometimes it's not about the money it costs for a ticket, it's about having somebody who wants you to go and motivating you to go. But to get back to the point of clashing, pardon if I'm a little bit low this evening, it's like this whole last month has been chaos for me as far as my, I've been really testing my mental, my mental stability. Being able to cope with many different things at once. It's not just external issues pressing, but I also have a lot of internal and personal issues, as well as like tonight, all of a sudden my cat decided that she's going to get sick, and long story short, she's laying on the floor in there right now, kind of on her last leg. And I've had enough pets to know. I mean, you can throw $100,000 at a cat at the vet, but there's only so much you can do. And sometimes when a cat's sick, it's really interesting, because any of you who have been subscribed for a while might remember Toby, or Tobias, the stray cat. We took him in, and he was sick for a while. He was obviously already old and sick when we got him, but we wanted to give him a good home for his last days. And he would lay around, hang out in my back room, chill in my bedroom, moved around from place to place, wasn't scared of a damn thing. The other cats would harass him, the dog would come up and check him out, but he was just like, whatever. Totally content to be on, on his last leg, and all of a sudden a month or 2 months ago, he's just gone, disappeared. And I remember people say, of course cats leave sometimes. He hadn't left the house, and he was unable to really move around much. Still haven't found him. He somehow wandered through the garage and found his way into the kitchen, and then out the back. There's, either we didn't see him go out, because I know cats do wander off to die, but, our cat, I could just tell something was wrong. And, she's laying in the same spot my other dog died, actually. And it was weird, because I was thinking about this. My dog died about, I think it was, after I thought about it, I realized it must have been about 5 years ago, or 8 years ago, because it was a week before my son was born. It was the same week, and my wife was pregnant. It was, I think, 2 or 3 days before my son was born. Our sweet, loving Shar-Pei died. And she was like a Shar-Pei mix. I think she might have been like a Shar-Pei bulldog or pit bull mix, something like that. She was a big, burly girl, but she had the kind of the face of a Shar-Pei. And she was, I think that the people who took her in had intended to make her a fight dog, and she wouldn't fight, so they abused her. And so towards, her later years, we took her in, and she was the sweetest freaking dog. Just a freaking tank. Dude, she'd just run up and maul you. I mean, this dog was so big and so intimidating, but she was so sweet. But anyhow, she passed out and around the same spot my cat's in there at right now. So it led me to think about the chaos of life in general, and the unpredictability of life. I try so much to, you know, impress it into my younger children and my oldest, who is 23, and he's gone through his own things. You know, he's 23 years old. Of course, he's trying to figure out what life's all about, and we've had a lot of discussions. And me, the philosopher dad, you know, sometimes I wonder, you know, should I have raised him to just be this gung-ho, you know, get stuff done type dude? You know, I don't raise my kids. I give my kids shelter, guidance, and understanding as best as I can, in hopes that when they become of age, they will find their own truth. And so he's gone through that, and you know, talking with him as an adult now, we have a very similar outlook on life. You know, of course we do, but not all parents and children can say that. But that we understand the greater picture of things, the greater cosmos. But we also, he's still trying to find that truth of the clash. Like I was saying, when I started this video, it's about things that clash in our lives. And I guess you could call that the cognitive dissonance, which most people, if you don't know what cognitive dissonance is, because that word gets thrown around as some fancy word, it just means you have two opposing beliefs held at the same time. It could mean that you believe in God or believe in a religion, but your rational mind knows that that religion couldn't be true. Or if you work for an oil company, but you're an environmentalist on the weekends that wants to fight pollution, that kind of stuff. You have to feed your family. And there's many different complicated aspects to it. It's not so cut and dry, and life never is. Everything clashes in our lives. The things we want to do and the things we can do. You know, our desire to go out and travel and have fun and live it up, and our fear that if we earn money, then we're shallow. Or, you know, oh, why are we working for money? That's for, you know, people who are obsessed with money. We don't see things clearly for what they are because we are so hung up on our programming. And it's so hard to break free of. And that's what brings a clash. We can't just follow our dreams. You know, a lot of people, you know, this old saying that you can be whatever you want. And I remember hearing somebody dispute that and say, no, that's bullshit. You can't be whatever you want. You know, some people are born with, you know, maybe it came when they were young, but not everyone as an adult. Maybe everyone could start out with the same potential, but not likely. We have all different types of mental states. Some people are just much more able to do certain things. Hands down. You know, it's like the old men and women thing. You know, a lot of women can do men's jobs better than men, but overall, men are stronger than women at doing heavy, brutish jobs, and we know that. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, a scientific study showed men and women the differences. I remember seeing it a decade or two ago about how men can see farther. They tend to look at distant landmarks because traditionally we were the hunters. And, you know, regardless of what we believe about evolution or God or creation or any of it, you know, my point being that we yearn to be equals. We yearn, but in the process of being equals, we miss the differences that we have, and how I don't know. Everything in our society right now just totally clashes with the way that nature really works, and we are so opposed to our own realities are so different from one another. Okay, we have such a vastly different view of a worldview of what's going on, each one of us. And in the past, I don't believe it was as much. Even though the population's doubled since I was born, I still don't believe that people are more ignorant today, nor do I believe we're more intelligent. I think we all have an innate knowledge of the fact that the universe is bigger than us. Okay? And what comes up in that are many cognitive dissonance issues, such as wanting to you know, wanting to believe in something greater, but still at heart knowing that we have to be a skeptic. So when you become two different people, you can tear down your own beliefs. You can look at the things that you thought were true and be able to honestly assess that and say, I was wrong, but that's okay. And I can attest to that because, you know, for most of my life, all I can do is look back on it with a flawed memory, because we all have flawed memories. It's just the way it is. If you ask most people about a certain event that happened and where they were, you find out that up to 90% of the people have totally mistaken recall, because we've heard so many stories. They use the example of the Challenger space shuttle explosion, and they asked a bunch of people where they were in the situations, and found out that because I think what they did was the study, they asked them right after it happened, and then they asked them again like 20 years later or something. I don't recall exactly how it worked, but that people found out that their memories were not as good as we thought. And so the point being about that is that I've been doing YouTube here for about 7 years. I can look back on some of my earlier videos, and I'm not shameful. I haven't erased any of them. I have ones where I was, talking about 2012, and ones where I was talking about the, some of the theories about evolution versus religion versus. I used to kind of diss religion, and it's because I'm offended, or I should say in the past, when I was younger, I was offended by what religion was teaching its young, or rather what parents were teaching their young. But more than that, I felt like it was holding us back from the ultimate truth. And I studied the occult, the hidden knowledge, whatever you might call it, beyond belief. Manly P. Hall, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, is one of the greatest books that kind of shows what our ancestors thought. And a lot of people think that's the be-all, end-all, like that, our ancestors knew better than we do, and that we're all just idiots today, and that there's some great secret under lock and key, that if we could only find this book or find this passage, then we would know the secrets to the universe. That's complete bullshit. We all know it. Life is really Zen. It's the mystery, the unknown, the undescribable. The ability to realize that we don't know shit, and to be comfortable with that is one of the hardest things for people to do. It means we have to not let our egos completely dissolve, but embrace them for what they are, and let our, superego or imposed egos or, our arrogance go. But we don't have to let our pride go, for example. There's, I think there's like pride, and then there's, self-pity, and then somewhere in the middle is the balance, and in every single realm of human life it's the same way. Because I don't follow a religion or a deity or any type of, systematic belief system, but I don't oppose those who do, and I also do follow Buddhist principles to an extent. If I were to try to get my ideas as close as what I believe as far as the universe, it would be like the Tao. It would be that the all, or the universe, is all one, that it is one mind. And I also, kind of like the electrical, a lot of people, the EU theory, electric universe theory, is prominent, or was for years back. There's Wall Thornhill and a couple other guys who made this pretty, well known. I don't believe all of their theories about ancient carvings and whatnot, but for those who don't understand any of it, what it basically is saying is that the general consensus in modern science, modern astrophysics, is that the sun and our solar system is totally separate entity, rotating within the larger cosmos, rather within the Milky Way galaxy, and then within the larger cosmos. But the belief is that it is not electrically connected, or connected in any way to other stars. Electric Universe says that there's the power for the sun is elsewhere, and it's transmitted remotely through space, rather. Just the way a circuit works. It's no different than the way a synapse fires in the brain. The two ends don't actually touch. It's just that they come close enough, and then neurochemicals, rather, transmit them in the brain. If you really understand the macro and the micro, which is beyond anything worth explaining or even trying to defend, because I've seen enough archetypes to know what I know. I don't have to try to, prove it. To me, the universe is conscious, and if Electric Universe's theory is correct, then it would confirm basically already what I've already thought, that stars are basically like cells within the bigger brain. Maybe an organ, there's the galaxy, there's the super galaxy clusters, then there's, who knows, there's mega super galaxy clusters. The size of space is so amazing that trying to comprehend it, even for the most talented astrophysicist, is impossible. We cannot comprehend the size of the universe in the big. And likewise, nobody can comprehend the universe in the size of the small. And to try to do these, the micro or the macro, we're just making up metaphors and ideas and archetypes. You know, look at the way the atoms spin. You know, look at the way that the universe spins. Everything's spinning, everything's moving, everything is, you know, so much bigger than us as individuals. But that leads us to feel kind of lost sometimes, and that brings in more clashing, more lack. To give you the, I guess the main thesis of where I'm going here is that the universe is so vast, there's so many amazing things out there to discover. There's, you know, so many different things to learn and to be, and we're always told to just be what you want to be and be free and enjoy your life and express yourself as best you can. And then the other side of it is the reality that a lot of us have to actually settle down, get jobs, buy houses, have children, raise children, be responsible parents, and keep working and do things we don't want to do. And so that's why we're like, fuck you, God. That's the kind of attitude people have towards it. It's not, it's like, why put humans here and then make us do all this hard work? And today, we've got it easy compared to our ancestors. They busted their asses in the fields. And I wouldn't say it's as hard in ancient times as people make it out to be, because there were some easy times for a lot of you know, certain tribes who lived in the right areas. But overall, if you lived in a harsh climate, you had to bust your ass to go out and, you know, look for food. You can look at any of the ancient tribes and modern tribes that have to hike across the Sahara, you know, for miles and miles just to get water. But that's the extreme. The other end of it is the Western lazy, slothful society that we've created, where we're all just sitting around basically saying, well, this is too hard for me, and I don't want to help my neighbor, and so I'm just going to fight everything as a liberal or a conservative or a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim or an atheist or an independent, Green Party. Everybody has to be something, and they have to associate themselves with some party, some group, some ridiculous organization. And that's where the ultimate clash comes in. The clash between the reality that we're all able to create our own realities, and the reality that people want to have, which is that somebody else has it figured out. And it's like every kid who grows up, they realize, wait a minute, nobody had the answers? I remember hearing Terence McKenna say that once. He's like, yeah, you know, you get into your 20s and then 30s and you say, wait a minute, I thought that the adults knew what was going on here. And you find out that everybody's full of shit, that nobody has a monopoly on the truth, that nobody really can tell you what it is. The homeless man on the street or the bishop, you know, in the high church, and neither one of them are any closer to understanding God or the universe than one another. It doesn't matter how many books you read, how many people you talk to, how much research you do, how many epiphanies you have, how many satoris or awakenings, or how enlightened you may be as a monk on the hillside. You're still just part of the whole, because every one of us has to do our part, just like ants in an anthill. We have to work as parents, some of us. Others have to work as, you know, at menial jobs, but they enjoy it. Some people really enjoy doing a very simple, easy job, and they'll do it for their whole life. Others, they want to explore and travel and climb mountains. All of these things give us a perspective on what we could be doing, or what we might want to be doing, or other things that might move us. And I think as human beings, nobody has a monopoly on the truth. Nobody can tell you what is real and what's not. And you shouldn't let anybody tell you anything more than positive affirmations to change, to learn yourself how to embrace life, how to make the most of every moment, how to live in the now while using the past to better your future. Whatever moves you in life, you can have. You know, it's not about motivational speaking. It's about the reality that we can work towards what we want, and that's great. But there are clashes of interest because we don't want to be rich, a lot of us, and we don't want to be famous or any. For example, I've had people tell me that, you know, I had one guy go off on me. This was years ago. It just came to mind. He got all upset because I kind of shut him down. I don't remember what he said, but he said, "One day I'm going to be so much more famous than you. You don't have, you know, you don't have any subs. think I had a few thousand at that time, and he's like, you think you're so cool because you have so many subs, and I'm going to be so much more famous than you, and everybody's going to know who I am, and everybody will know me. And at first I thought it was kind of a joke, and then I realized this guy actually has, you know, a disorder. He's obviously very concerned about his fame, and I felt bad for him. I was like, you know, it's not about that. It's like, I don't do this channel to get subscribers. You know, I removed a bunch of keywords and certain links to the site, to this channel, because I love you guys, the subscribers. You guys are awesome. Guys and gals, pardon me. I really love the feedback I get from people on a video where I'm exposing kind of how I feel about life. And it's not that I expect it all to be positive. I don't expect it all to be even coherent, or and I know I'm not really making sense a lot of the time, but that's what makes it worth doing. And so I appreciate all of you. I actually want to see how much time's left here, because yeah, this video is getting really long. It's 20 minutes already. That's crazy. I just have so many things going on in life, and a lot of it just, it helps to make a video and talk about just things in general, you know. And it amazes me, you know. I thought about the philosophers of old, and so I'm going to make a separate video about the philosopher thing. So anyway, that was my rant for the night, and I wish you all the best of luck. I hope you all find your truth, whatever it may be. Blah, 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 blah. It's all bullshit. Being a human is awesome. Being a human can be hard. You know, what else can I say?